Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Martika B, and thank you so much for stopping back by for tonight's upload. I am going to be talking to you guys about some additional things that you may or may not want to know prior to having gastric sleeve surgery. So, not taking up too much of your time, jumping right in. Number one are side effects. Immediately after surgery, you will be in a lot of pain. I had a couple of friends and family ask, exactly what the feeling was and how do you maneuver through that post-op. Well, the thing is, everybody's pain tolerance is different, and side effects to the surgery will be different. You will not be able to take in a lot of fluids, and you will not be able to take in solid foods. This kind of ties into number two as far as long-term effects, and I am only at this point 5 months out, so I can't really speak too much on long-term effects, but just from where I am personally, I know that if I didn't mention this, in my 16 to know prior to gastric sleeve surgery, then I probably didn't go over it at all. But hair shedding, so that's one thing that's a side effect, but also a long-term side effect. Hair loss, hair shedding. Some people experience actual fallout and bald spots. So my thing is, and from what I was told, is just stay on top of your protein shake and your vitamins to help with that. You also have the option for wigs, and for some reason this sounds familiar, so I think I did go over it. So if I did, I'm sorry for repeating it, but I do just want to answer questions that I was asked, just in regards to my last couple of uploads. So number three is time off from work. I have a little note below my camera, so I'm gonna look down there and read off of it. So anyway, number three, time off from work. I took off 2 weeks. I took off a week, and then I worked from home for another week. So I was back at work at about 2.5 weeks post-op. And I personally do not recommend that. If you can take the full 6 to 8 weeks, do it. Because this ties into the likelihood of, this ties into the moments following surgery as far as when you get home and working out. So I know in my 5-day post-op video, I discussed, I drove myself to the hospital. That was a 2.5 hour drive. I drove myself home, and it took me forever to get home because I stopped every 30 minutes because I was in so much pain. Again, everyone's pain tolerance is different. So don't think that, oh, well, she said that she drove herself, then maybe I can drive myself, because you can end up in a situation where you can't get home. And will you be in a position to call anybody to help you? And will those people be in a position to stop what they're doing to help you? So the moments after surgery, consider that prior to, and I'm pretty sure it should go without saying, but try to make sure you have everything lined up that you can possibly have lined up prior to having surgery, because you will need help at home. I have 2 small girls at home, and so I didn't have the luxury of having a lot of help post-op. So when I came home, it was just me and them. Things were left undone as far as, your daily chores, well, I won't call them chores as an adult, but the daily things that you do as far as cooking and cleaning. It was just really hard to do those because I was just in a lot of pain. You may or may not hear from other people who have had this surgery that they had no issues, and I mean, that's wonderful, but just from my perspective, be prepared to again have that support just in case you need it. So let's see, I forget what number we're on. So I think it's 5, diet restrictions. So this should also, in my opinion, go without saying. Following surgery, you will be on a strict liquid diet, and it should be a strict full liquid diet. So diet restrictions, I was on a full liquid diet, and full liquid diet is I could have broth, I could have water, obviously, and I could also have protein shakes. Protein shakes are thicker than broth and water, so that is considered a full liquid diet. Some people I'm in a group on Facebook, and a lot of people there pretty much just talked about how they were on a strict liquid diet. not a full liquid diet. So they were just on water and broth, and that can get to be very, very old very fast, just as a full liquid diet could be. You will or you should be given instructions at your pre-op appointment to go over pretty much how you can increase your foods and what you can and cannot eat at what given time after surgery. So I don't have my binder in front of me. I didn't think about it until I decided to start recording. But I think at like 3 weeks I could introduce soft food. So I like to just say baby food because some people have a different understanding of what soft foods are. If you move too fast in your diet, you can rupture your stomach. There's no other way to put that. So there are a lot of scary stories out there. I highly suggest that in your research, you research some of the same stories because some people think that they can do the same things they were doing prior to surgery, which is go out and have a steak or some chicken or any type of solid food, and you can rupture your stomach, and that can be very detrimental to the process, but also to your health, most importantly to your health. But it almost just defeats the purpose of doing it in the first place. So if you don't think that you can stick to it, if you don't think that you are mentally prepared for it, don't do it. That ties back into what I was saying in my, if it wasn't in the 6 things to know, it might have been in my 5-month update. But you do have to go through a psych eval, and I couldn't tell you exactly what they're looking for because every psych doctor or psychiatric doctor, I should say, is different, and the requirement should be the same, but everybody's leniency is different. So I couldn't tell you what they're looking for. So if you don't think that you can mentally stick to it, do not do it. And a quick backstory, I didn't think that I was going to be able to do it because food was my poison, and I go to it for any type of emotional support that I needed, and because it was there and it felt good. I can call my friends all day long and talk to them, and call my family all day long and talk to them, but for some reason I just resorted to food. So I was really scared that 1, I wasn't going to pass my psych eval, and then 2, I wasn't going to stick to just that full liquid diet. But you would be really, really surprised once you have the surgery that even if you wanted to go after a sandwich, well, yeah, I'll say that you'll be surprised. You won't be able to stomach it. It either will come right back up, or again, you can rupture your stomach. So anywho, on to number 6. So moving too fast in your diet, that ties into this. So the likelihood of your surgery failing. I think that a lot of people have the misunderstanding that this surgery is supposed to just give them a whole new body, a whole new perspective. The only thing it gives you is a whole new opportunity to renew yourself. And it gives you is a whole new opportunity to renew yourself. And in that, it's renewing your body, your physical self, in other words. So if you come into the process of thinking that after surgery you can still eat and drink whatever you want, I do not recommend that you have the surgery, because that's not the right mindset to have. Should you try it? I mean, yeah, if you think that it may work for you, you will only be able to eat it in very small increments. But what's the point in having that thought process and saying, I can still have a small piece of cake, rather than I should not eat that cake? And I know it's like so cliche to say, because some people can say, oh, just go and work out and you can lose the weight. But again, as I said in my previous video, that sometimes it's just not that simple. And so I'm going to repeat it now. It's not that simple. So the likelihood of your surgery failing isn't necessarily based on something going wrong with the healing process. Your surgery can simply fail because once you're healed and you have the freedom to go and choose and eat whatever you want, it's all about making the right choices. So the likelihood of your surgery failing is 100% dependent upon how serious you are about doing the right thing post-op. So moving forward, what are we on? 7. I think it's 7, y'all. I'm sorry, I'm just talking and looking at my notes. So anyway, Revision surgeries. I met this really nice lady, girl, I won't call her a lady, woman. I met this really nice chick. And we keep in contact to this day. We were in the same uh, hallway, passageway to get an x-ray done, because you will need to get, I think it's either a CT or an x-ray to ensure that there's no leakage from the cut that they made. Just make sure everything is good prior to sending you home. So when I met her, she was letting me know that she went from having the gastric sleeve to an RNY. And I think an RNY is bypassed, and I did not know you could do that. So with weight loss surgery, it's not a continuous loss. And that was one of the main questions that I had that I couldn't really get a clear answer on from my surgeon, from just doing my own research, from other people that I asked. And once I had talked to this particular chick, she pretty much just let me know that weight loss surgery, you are eventually going to stop losing weight, and at some point in time the weight may pick back up. It's just part of the process. And so that's why it's all about building good habits. And so I think she was about a year and a half, maybe 2 years out from her gastric sleeve, when she just completely stalled. She wasn't losing, but she was gaining. And it's not that she changed her habits. I mean, only she would know what her real habits are, but just based on what she was telling me, she hadn't really changed her habits. So she decided to go in and have the RNY, which, don't quote me, but I haven't done research on the RNY, but I think that is the bypass surgery. So she has started to lose weight again, actually a lot of weight. So yes, I forget who asked me about revision surgeries. I think the only revision surgery that can be done are those with the gastric sleeve. And again, don't quote me, I could be wrong. Gastric sleeve to an RNY. So you do have the option to go from a gastric sleeve to gastric bypass, because a gastric sleeve actually is the first step that you have to do prior to actually doing the gastric bypass. From what I was told, it's 2 separate procedures. So the gastric sleeve is just a setup for the bypass anyway. So I don't know if I should call it a revision surgery, but let's call it that anyway, because if you are going in and having the sleeve, and then you are you're not going in 6 weeks later, you have the surgery, you go in 5 years later, then I guess it is a revision. So lastly, I think number 8, y'all, my numbering could be off here, but number 8 are different apps to use. So I use the app called something. I will add it in the description below. I haven't been on there in the past month, so forgive me, because I've been frustrated with my stalls, and just trying with, just sitting at home with the shelter in place. My habits have gone out the window. So I've been picking up some really bad habits, in other words. So I forget the app that I'm using. I'm in a little denial. So I stopped measuring myself. I stopped weighing myself. My clothes are still loose, so I'm just going based off how my clothes fit right now until I can get back into the good habits that I was in with eating right and doing some walking. So I will add the app that I use in the description below, and I'll probably name a few other apps that are available to use. But if you really are not an app person or whatever, I just measure myself and I weigh myself, probably more than I should, but I'll recommend maybe like once a week. Some additional side notes that I want to throw in here before going: mental health. So I talked in my 6 things to know prior to having gastric sleeve surgery, I talked about being emotional. Please understand that being emotional and falling into a depression post-op are 2 completely different things. So when you go to have your psych eval, please be 100% honest in that evaluation, because they're not doing this for them. They're wanting to make sure that you are in the right headspace, that you have all of the resources that you need, so that post-op you are taking care of yourself, because they can only do so much from the office. So don't try to cheat the system. Don't try to lie. If you have had surgery and you find that you are still emotional and you just can't seem to shake it, then it may actually be time to call up a doctor or a specialist in that particular area and discuss, how you're feeling and what's going on with you. So don't let it linger. Don't sit in that place mentally for too long, and just do your best to take care of you. And lastly, sexual health. So in your research, you should find, because I found it in mine, when I talked about swapping addictions, switching addictions, whatever, you to alcohol, let me add that, switching addictions to alcohol, it's possible that you can switch your addiction from food to a sexual addiction as well. And I'm surprised that this didn't cross my mind when I decided to make that particular video. So, but it crossed my mind now. And again, these are just additional side notes, but just make sure that you are paying attention to your addictive behaviors. And so we know ourselves best. And if you know that who you are is, like I said, food was my poison. If you know that you're switching from that to it, you just like to go and have a good time, all the time, and that can be alcohol or sex, check yourself. But that can also tie into mental health, where I don't want to say the wrong thing here because I'm not a professional, but it could just be that you're in denial because you don't want to accept that you can't eat as much, but you know that you can't eat as much, and so you're trying to find something else to fill a void. So let's not fill voids with negative things. Let's not fill voids with bad things. Let's prepare ourselves ahead of time so that we can be the best us after surgery. So a couple of things I said you should find, but not all of the things that I listed were things that I found in my own research. A lot of these were just questions that I was asked. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if so, please thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe and keep an eye out for my next upload.